Today's lesson is Anthony and the Octavian divide the world. Well, that was done. The task of avenging the death of Julius Caesar had now been accomplished. Brutus and Cassius were dead, and their army, the only strong Republican army left, had been defeated. The Roman Republic was dead. All of Rome's possessions in the east, as well as in the west, were now in the hands of the triumvirate. Rather, they were in the hands of two of the three men. The two who had shared the victory were now to share the spoils. Lepidus, who had remained in Rome, was to be squeezed out, given just enough to keep him quiet. Octavian and Antony now divided the world between them. Antony, who was certainly the hero of the hour, took charge of the dividing. He chose first, and unhesitantly, he chose to take the provinces of the east. That leaves you Rome, Italy, Spain, Gaul, Sicily, and all the other islands and provinces in the west, he told Octavian. At first thought, it might have seemed that the big man had been overly generous, especially to give up Rome, the capital of the world, but not on the second thought. Rome was going to be a hotbed of trouble for many months to come. It would be a bad job for anyone to try to bring peace and order out of the confusion. Anthony had no desire to take it. He wanted to relax now, have a good time, enjoy life, with plenty of wine and good food, beautiful women, and amusing, boisterous companions to enjoy it with. Oh no, he had no desire to return to Rome, not to Rome, nor to Fulvia, with her carping criticism and driving ambition that never gave a fellow any peace. No, Rome and its cares were not for him at the present moment. So dropping the unwelcome burden on Octavian's narrow shoulders and wishing him good luck, Antony swung back into his easy stride and departed for the east. His trip, though, through Asia Minor was like the royal journey of a potentate, for he was now the most powerful Roman in the part of the Roman world. Everywhere kings and princes of the subject countries rushed to court his favor. Herod was among them, eager to prove himself as a good friend to Antony, as he had been to Cassius. Ambassadors also, for various reasons, came running to him with huge sums of gold, which he spent at once in a lavish manner. A whole company of actors traveled with him, singers, pipers, dancers, jugglers, and entertainers of all kinds, all those who could add spice to life and enjoy living. Oh, those were gay days for Antony, and merry ones. Bacchus, the god of wine himself, could scarcely have improved upon them. In fact, at Ephesus, boys and women, falling into the spirit, did actually hail Antony as Bacchus. Dressed as nymphs and devotees of the happy god, they went dancing to meet him at the gates, draped his chariots with flowers, and dancing and singing, escorting him into the city, winding through the streets in a long, hilarious, jubilant procession. Octavian, meanwhile, had started on the dismal journey back to Rome. He knew very well what he had to face, first paying off the soldiers, then driving the pirates out of Sicily. During the sea voyage, although almost too ill to think of anything, he kept turning the two problems over and over in his mind. The soldiers had enlisted with the promise that they would be given as their pay certain cities and estates in Italy or in Cisalpine, Gaul. Now, those who had served their term and were to be discharged naturally demanded that Antony and Octavia keep their promise. Not to do it would be fatal, but to do it meant taking the property away from the people who already owned it. Naturally, wealthy owners, robbed of their estates and farms, driven from their farms, were going to make trouble. To settle the affair would take most skillful handling and the best possible advice. As he was landing at Brunzum, Octavian thought of Maccabeus, his old school friend in Apollonia. Maccabeus was most diplomatic. His advice should be valuable. He would get in touch with Messias as soon as he reached Rome. But it was weeks before Octavian got on to Rome. He fell ill and was unable to leave Brunzum. Week after week he lay there, tossing in pain and fever, at the point of death. Neither the doctor nor the attendants looking down upon his small, thin body expected him to live. But he clung to life with grit and determination, pulled through, and was finally able to sit up. His first thought now was his other friend, Agrippa. During his feverish dreams and moments of semi-consciousness, it seemed to him that he had been at sea, fighting the pirates for control of Sicily, and Agrippa had been with him. Sicily was one of the islands which had fallen to Octavian's share when the triumvirate first divided up the Roman lands, but he had never been able to get control of it. When he left for Philippi, it was still in the hands of the half-pirate by the name of Sextus Pompey. This Sextus was the son of a Roman general who had been an enemy of Julius Caesar. When his father had died, after being defeated by Caesar, Sextus had turned pirate. Seizing Sicily, he had since then used it as headquarters for his pirate fleet. With that as a base, he raided the shores of Italy. He also caught the ships of wheat coming up from Egypt and prevented them from getting through to Rome. Without grain from Egypt, the people of Rome would starve. There would be a famine, and Sextus were not soon defeated and driven out of Sicily. Oh, no, that says there would be a famine if Sextus were not soon defeated and driven out of Sicily. Soldiers demanded their pay. Angry landowners robbed of their property. Hungry mobs calling for grain to make into bread are not pleasant people to deal with. But those were the people that Octavian knew he had to face. On the day when he was well again, though still weak and wobbly in the knees, he stepped into his litter and set out for Rome. No wonder Antony preferred to be far away at the eastern end of the Mediterranean while some troubles boiled in Rome.